Welcome to the Second Time Around podcast with LaShawn and Michaela Mims, a weekly conversation about love, life, and marriage from the perspective of a couple who are taking the journey a second time around.
But I thank God in all I lost, I found you. As I give you this ring, just know you're my greatest blessing. All the good and the bad will make this love true.
Hey y'all, how are you? Welcome to the Second Time Around podcast, episode 3, season 2. So excited to be here. I am one half of your hosting team. I am Michaela Mims. I am a wife. I am a Mimi. I am a mama. Y'all see how I put the grandbabies before the kids, right? I am a licensed marriage and family therapist out here in these Elk Grove, California streets. And I am also a pastor's wife. We have a beautiful, beautiful endeavor we're working on, Judah Fellowship Church here in Elk Grove, California. But I am not the only person here. There's somebody else here with me. You want to know who it is? Who is it?
I am LaShawn Mims. I am the husband,
Yes.
the father,
Yes.
the grandfather
Yes.
of some amazing grandkids. And with all of that, I am the pastor and founder of Judah Fellowship Church in Elk Grove,
Yes.
California.
Yes.
Yes, a labor of love that we are working on in the community of Elk Grove. I am so happy to be with my co-host and my partner in life and love. Woo, boy.
That would be me.
Miss Michaela. And we are at episode 3. My goodness. Yes. Today we are going to be talking about Just Got Paid.
Just got paid. Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Party jumping. Feeling right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I got some money in my pocket. Okay, so.
Right. I was going to go there, but I didn't.
Yes, just what it sounds like. That's just what we're talking about. Money in relationship. Yeah. Baby, tell them how you feel about money. I need for them to know how you feel about money, because I think that's a good segue into this podcast.
Oh, that feel like a setup to me. I don't know, but all right, I will. I kind of don't understand your question. Could you ask it differently?
She understand my question. She just playing like she don't understand. She understand. Let me say this. We come into this relationship, this marriage, with 2 different views of money.
Yes.
Mr. LaShawn here, I think money is majorly supposed to be spent. That's the reason why we got it. I'm not going to die with $100,000 in the bank. That's not going to happen. I know.
Lies you tell.
I know some people already are turned off by that, but man, I just can't do it. You saving for what? What you saving for? I just want to know. If you saving for a house, I get that. You saving for a car, I get that. But when you gone, it's gone. I heard somebody say, I ain't never, ever seen a hearse with a U-Haul in the back of it. Never seen it.
Oh my Lord, where did that come from?
I ain't never seen it. I ain't never seen a hearse followed by some U-Hauls, and you get to take all your stuff with you. Now, let me clarify.
Please.
That does not mean not leaving your family something. That does not mean being smart. But I just think I've experienced in my life that there's a lot of people who will tell you, I got 100,000 in the bank. I'm sitting on 80K, 80 racks. I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, that's nice. That's real, real nice. But what do you plan to do with that? Do you plan for the rest of your life to be planning for a rainy day? You know, it's good to have a rainy day, but at the same time, are you not living life because you are so concerned about finances? Just me. Miss Michaela, chime in on that.
You know I'm giving you the side eye, but that's all right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. So let's be clear. What I do believe is that I don't want to go on vacation and my bills are not paid. I don't want to leave the house and come back and be stressed out because that messes up my fun. So
Right.
I'll tell y'all a little story. I remember we were engaged, I believe, and I was out with my girls. We out doing girl stuff. And I get a little ringy dingy on my cell phone. It's my honey. And he says, "Baby, I'm going to take some of this back." Wait, what? Now, when you start the conversation with, "I'm going to take some of this back," it's like, not hello, not how are you, not how's your time with your girls going. "Baby, I'm going to take some of this back." I'm like, oh gosh. So my first question was, well, where are you? "I'm in San Francisco." Okay, so let's start there. If you in San Francisco and you couple that with, "I'm going to take some of this back," it ain't but a couple of places my husband is at. I don't even know if I'm going to name the names because some people already think
What are you talking about?
we do too much. But, huh?
You talking about me?
Yes, I'm talking about you. It ain't but a couple of places downtown San Francisco.
Second time around, I thought you were talking about your first marriage. I didn't know you was talking.
Nah, boo. Nah, I'm talking about you. It ain't but a couple of
I thought you were talking
stores.
about the first marriage. You weren't talking about me. Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
am.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not
All
going to
right.
say it is. But anyway, he showed me all the stuff. And over time, I just noticed he was emptying out that bag. It wasn't. It, there was nothing going back to the store. Nothing. And so, but that was early on in our relationship. My husband is a snappy dresser. When I
God, let
tell
me in the past.
when
All
I
right.
tell you, he, to use his words, he be clean, y'all. He be clean.
Yeah.
But whereas me, I'm like, what's in this closet? How can I recycle what I got in this closet? So we have grown in that area. I've gotten a little less rigid with how we spend money, and he's gotten a little more structure. And so I feel like it's important to say here that as a single mother for a while, I had to be careful about how I spent money. And so I had an unhealthy relationship with money and I was pretty tight fisted. So, why is he throwing up a fist, y'all? See, this is why it's going to be cool when we start to do video recording because you'll be able to see these faces he's making. Let me stop. We ain't got that much time. Let's keep going. But let's just say I was a little more of a penny pincher, and my husband was a little bit more of a, if I see it, I like it, I buy it. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
okay. So
Why
that,
not?
because I
Okay.
need
So I'm trying so
go ahead.
hard because
Your
this
own question.
episode could go off the rails because I've got so many things that I find funny about money. Now, I'm better. I'm a whole bunch better. I'm,
He
I'm
is.
I have some financial maturity and I'm doing a lot better. But
Hallelujah. Oh,
I
God,
come
we
from
thank
a place where, used to have to budget so hard and struggle so much that I just got, well, maybe let me give you the full story on this. I grew up not really wanting for anything. I'm an only child, as I've said so many times. So basically, if I really wanted something, somebody was going to get it. That's just the way we live. That's just the way my family, both families have been. If
boy.
I say, hey, I'm trying to get this, oh, okay, cool. Well, but birthday, you did well this week, you get that. So I got to a place where I had children, and then it shifted to not me, but them. But I've always been this person where it's like, man, I seen them shoes. Like I have a whole closet full of shoes because I was a person who bought shoes every payday. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to the store and getting them full price. That means that I know all kind of stuff and I just be getting stuff. So I'm used to doing that. Not so much now, but used to doing that. And look, you should see her face. How she
Y'all,
looking at me.
he still got shoes. Like, he is a sneaker head, but not only a sneaker head, he likes dress shoes, especially because for his job, he just have to wear a suit to work every day and be cute, y'all. Okay, that's a sidebar, sorry. But okay, I just felt the need to add that in there. Go ahead, honey.
Okay, so you added it. So
Oh, Lord.
yeah, I just had got in the habit of buying stuff and then being in a relationship, not this one, but being in a relationship in a marriage before and fighting to get certain stuff. You know, it's nothing worse than being a person that likes certain things and then you're not able to get it. Because no matter if you had the money or you don't have the money, you still, no, we can't do that. Then being single and going back to buying whatever I want and not having a place to stay. But
See?
ah,
Was that the truth
but
that flipped out?
that's the truth.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right then.
So looking nice, you got nice clothes, you got designer clothes, but you ain't got a designer place to stay. You got you got Gucci loafers and a bus pass. That's what you got. That's what you got. It wasn't working out right. But anyway, then being married again in this marriage, 10 years married this year, been together for 13, we had to go back to the drawing board in how to use money, especially moving to Elk Grove. We had to go back to the drawing board on how to use money and what money is used for. I'm laughing because my wife, she loves to teach a class on money and finances. And many of the times I'm treading lightly, y'all. Many of the times my wife talks about money and I'm like, what are you worried about? And she's like, well, look, now we can just shh. Woo. You should see her sometime. We were talking about stuff, and she would tell you, I'm the person, I don't want to talk about money. Don't tell me about the bill. I know the bill. I know everything in my head. I don't want to know about the finances.
You don't know everything in your head.
Yes, I do. I do know stuff in my head now.
No, you said you know everything.
I know stuff in my head. So I budget in my head.
Now, what kind of sense does that make? I budget in my head.
Oh, okay. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it, that everybody can't keep figures in their head like I keep them in my head.
Okay. Yeah, go on now.
Well, anyway, let me stop joking. I tell a lot of jokes. But yeah, we had to really decide in our relationship how we were going to go about it because we both had different views of how money was supposed to be used.
We did.
And I think that's one of the things the advice that I would want to give our listeners is that you have to sit down and talk about uncomfortable conversations. Money is an uncomfortable conversation in our house. It's not as uncomfortable as it used to be, but it's sometimes I'm going a certain way and Michaela is like, whoa, wait a minute. Can we just hold off on that till next Thursday? Or can we just, hey, we're going to go on vacation. We need to pay all these things first, then go on ahead. Well, we can't pay all these things and go to the vacation, but then we can't have the vacation. And for me,
that is uncomfortable for you.
Right. For me, I'm like, man, I'm trying to get out here. I'm trying to do this, and that.
I get it. And I think that's okay. Like, I love a vacation, but I do think that because we have, especially earlier on when number 3 and number 4 son were, just a reminder, I number these kids because I be calling them all by the wrong name. So the 2 younger fellas were in high school and they were headed off to college, and there was so many things. And truth be told, we were both still in school at the same time, right? So we were in school. We had 2 fellas that were in high school and college, And we had to figure this out. I think we had one son in graduate school too, number one son. And so it just was a lot to have to balance. You know, we're trying to blend our family, but it's not just blending families, it's blending budgets, right? And so
Mhm.
I came from a space where I was afraid of not having enough money. And real talk, there was a time where for Christmas for my biological son, number two son, I had just enough money to go to Walgreens, y'all, to get some eggs, to get some bacon, and to get a watch. All my baby wanted for Christmas was a watch. And I got him a little cheapo, I think that watch might have been $5, but that's all I had. And so I think for me, that was a trauma. I've always been afraid of not having enough. So that's that lack mentality. I think when we got together and we started trying to merge not only family, but finances, and we had two different perspectives, it was different. I mean, Sean grew up in a two-parent home where both his parents were very hard workers and they were homeowners. And I mean, my mom owned a home, but she lost her home. I watched my mom struggle and work two, three jobs, and I relived that in working two or three jobs to try to survive. Because if you don't know, California is expensive to live. So I just think we both had some growth to do. I needed to learn to relax into money and me run the money, not the money run me. I think because Sean came from a background of, you know, and I reaped the benefits of this for a little while, quite honestly. He could go to a certain person in his family, and if he needed it, that person loved him so much and trusted him, he could get it. And so when you have access like that, I think it's easier to fall into a space of, well, if I want to, I can go ask. But I also think it's important to say here that there was a certain point around the first time that I met him where he said, you know, I'm a 30-something-year-old man at the time, and I had to realize I can't keep running back to so and so for this. So I want to put that out there. But I do think in talking about being married a second time, it's not just the relational part, it's the relationship with all parts of your life, right? Like
Mhm.
how you do things in your life. So jump in, sir. What you think?
Yeah, as Michaela was saying a little bit, my background was a little different than that.
Mm,
Like I said, I could ask for something if I really wanted it. I am the number one grandson of my grandparents.
the
On my
maternal
mother's
grandparents, right? Yeah.
Yeah, on my mother's side, they have both passed on and gone to be with the Lord. But I lived with them for a while, and one of the best times in my life. You know, I can't really explain all the things they've done. I think my grandmother told me one time, she said, when you make it big and everything goes well, I'm gonna need my $1 million back. And and
Oh,
I would imagine that's about how much money that they had given me, about $1 million. No joke. So you think I'm joking. I'm not joking. Just being used to that. We're not going to talk about being spoiled, selfish, all those things that probably went along are the tags that were on me. But at the same time, it came to a place where I wanted to be able to do my own. And if I really got into a jam, then I would either talk to my parents or talk to my grandparents. It was a hard habit to break. Let's just be
mhm,
honest. It was very hard. Very hard for me to break that habit of being dependent on somebody else financially.
mm,
And I started to do things my own self, started to work out stuff. By the time we got together, I was doing pretty well. And I say well, even though I was broke,
mm.
but I was doing well. I was doing it on my own, you
Right, right.
know?
You were doing better at creating a new habit.
Yeah. I was broke as a joke, but I was doing better. You know, I was on the downslide, but I was really on the
Mhm,
downslide with my own finances. I think being married to Michaela has taught me how to be more responsible. I don't want you to go away from this podcast thinking that Pastor Mims, Mr. LaShawn Mims, is just irresponsible with money. That's not true.
You're
I
right. That isn't true.
I make a lot of decisions about money. Money used to burn my pocket, but I make a lot of great decisions
Mm-hmm.
about money now. And
Mm-hmm.
then here's another thing that I want to share with our audience is that I'm just a giver. So I don't look at money in the same way maybe that other people look at money. I look at it as that if I give it away, it'll come back somehow,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and maybe to somebody that may sound like irresponsibility, but I look at it like God's blessed me, so I need to bless someone else. So
You
there,
know what? I'm going to interrupt you because, quite honestly, that is one of the things that I absolutely, positively admire about you. And I want to celebrate that part of you because I have seen you recently. We were leaving church and we were at Starbucks because your girl needs her coffee. But we went in, got what we were getting, and a person came into Starbucks, someone who clearly was unhoused. It was hot like fish grease outside, and everybody was looking at this poor person like they were a leper, right? Like, ugh, don't talk to me, don't touch me, don't come close to me. And we literally were all the way in the car and backing out. And we saw the person, and Sean said to him, "Did you get what you wanted?" And the man said, "Well, no." And I already knew. I was like, well, this man is about to get what he wants because he's like, Sean parks the car, gets out and says, "Hey, man, what do you want?" And he wanted just the bare minimum. I can't remember what it was, but he's like, "Well, come on, let's go back inside this Starbucks." And the person in Starbucks was still, at one of the baristas, I guess, was still kind of side eyeing the person. And Sean was like, "Well, let's get you what you want." But this is not like just a one time thing. And I don't say it to brag because he actually really doesn't like for me to put this stuff on Front Street. But I think it's important since we're talking about money and your spirit for giving to other people. I've watched you for years, a decade plus, go in your pocket and give people money or buy them food. One time we were outside of we don't go here no more, Target, and bought socks, I think a pair of shoes, I think a sleeping bag, just because it was storming outside and this person was huddled in a corner at Target. But that is just your spirit. And quite honestly, that is one of the things that endears you to me. Like, if you got it, you'll give it. And I appreciate that. That's one of the places where we don't differ in mindset on money. And I appreciate that about you, and it flows out to other people. We're good to pick up the tab, or "I was thinking about you and I remember you said you wanted such and such," and we just go out and buy it and roll up and drop it on your doorstep because we remembered that you said you wanted this. And so that is one of the things that I love deeply about you. So I just wanted to pop that in. So
well, thank you, appreciate it.
you're
Oh
welcome.
man, I had to sit through all that. That's uncomfortable because I don't do those things to get publicity and praise. I actually do that because I understand what it's like to not have certain things. Everyone, I believe, that's listening has gone through a period of not having what you would like to have.
Facts.
And I've been in some places which will help us transition to the next part of this. I've been in some places where I didn't have no one to depend on but God. And
Mm-hmm.
it showed me how to do some things. I often tell my wife that I've had some experiences where where God said, "No, I'm not going to do it." You just going to have to sit in this.
Right.
You the one did this, so you're going to have to work this out your own self. I've gone through some seasons that have been some really tough seasons, but can I tell you that it taught me how to be resourceful. Yeah, it taught me how to be resourceful and to use my mind on some stuff. So that's my thing. One of the other things that we wanted to definitely share, we cannot talk about just got paid, money, management, finances, coming into a relationship and agreeing on money without talking about tithing. My goodness. Many of us who have grown up in church know tithing, shake down, running up, press down, shaking, running over, all that. We've said all that stuff at an offering, give and it'll
Down, shaking together, running
yeah,
over.
give and it will be given back to you and benevolence, and all of those great things. Everybody pretty much has their view. You may be on one side of the land or another side of the land on that. But what we want to share with you is that what has sustained us as individuals and as a married couple is honoring God with our
Yes.
finances.
Yes.
I cannot tell you all the things. I'm going to share this one story with you. Mr. Mims is the storyteller. So I'm going to show you, I don't lie. I just tell stories. All right. So don't get that twisted. We were in a place where I wasn't working a full-time job because of educational situations. I had to pretty much do a degree, part of my degree where I could not work anymore. And I was doing rideshare. But at the same time, being active in my church, so not really having a job, and maybe that's me downplaying it, but I worked for the church. Let's just say that. So I worked for the church when I could. And this particular time, our rent was due and I had to work for the church and I wasn't going to get paid for what I was doing. It wasn't going to happen. And many times, when you're working for the church, you're not going to get paid because it's just volunteer work. So the job that I was doing was going to take a week. Our rent was due in a week. And there was no possible way that we were going to make the rent. I just said, Lord, I'll put it in your hands. Didn't really say that much to Michaela about it because we just talked about how we both have different views of money. And so I went through the week. We went through the week. We did all the things that we were supposed to do. This was a required place that we needed to be. And I also had to work, which what I thought was for free. But as the week goes on, every single day, somebody is giving me money. So the people that I'm working with, which officials in the church or whatever, everybody just every day hands me $50, $20. Some days it's $100. And I just start taking the money and putting it. Now I'm not thinking about the rent. Now I need you guys to understand this. I'm not thinking about the rent. I'm just taking the money and putting it into this envelope. It was just kept coming every day. And I didn't want to have the money in my pocket, so I just kept putting it in the envelope. We get to the last night of me doing what I had to do and where we had to be, and we're at this service and they take an offering. They take an offering, thousands of dollars in this offering. At the end of me working, they give me this envelope, like I would say, not a letter size, but a little bigger size envelope full of money. And they give it to me. And they're like, here, this is for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you. Me and Michaela go home. We empty out the envelope. And she's like, where you get all that from? And I said, they gave it to me for me working. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah. And so we're counting the money and we start counting and we get to the end of the count. And, we're still short on the rent. And, my wife being the financial person that she is, she says, well, all this money is going to the rent, right? Right. No, I got it. We're good. We're good with that. We're good with that. And I said, oh, we're short. Okay, I got this other envelope that I've been holding on to. And she was like, you've been holding out. Where's the other envelope? So I got it. So I emptied that money out. Now, let me tell you about God. Come on, y'all. This is where y'all should be in your homes, in your cars, but don't crash and pray. You just praise the God for this. When we count out all the money, it is exactly our rent. Exactly to the penny, our rent. Every piece of money that we got in that 1 week equaled our rent.
Mm-hmm.
So God took care of it. True story. True story.
True story.
And could not believe it. That I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get any pay, but what they gave me covered everything. It wasn't planned. It couldn't have been planned. It couldn't have been planned. It was just too precise. Nobody knew our situation. Nobody knew that we were going to be going through this at all. And God met us for being faithful. So things like that is why I tithe, why we make sure that we give something. We talk about 10% to the Lord, but I try to give the Lord more. The Lord deserve a tip.
I know
We tip other people. When you go now, you have to tip somebody. I tip the Lord, hey, you get a 15%. You get 20% on top of what I'm doing. Because has he not been so good to you? I do that because that's just what I do. And I don't think about the money. I don't go back and say, oh, Lord, it might be a little too much. Let me do this. Because the Lord has been that good. And I think that's the other side of my personality with money is that because I've been accustomed of in some areas of my life, not really tripping off of money like that. When it comes to giving to the Lord, I don't trip off the money. I don't.
I love that.
I'll share something else with you, and we're coming fast upon our time. We went to a conference, a church conference, and we little bitty people. Not all these big churches are in this conference that we're at. And the Lord told me to give a certain amount of money. So I get up there. I actually don't tell Michaela what I'm going to give. I get up there, give the amount that I'm thinking. And there are larger churches, man, that quadruple us, that we're like, oh, well, we giving this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not trying to outdo anybody. I just felt like that's what I need to do. That's what I needed to happen out the kindness of my heart, because you're my God. And you've represented us so well that I'm going to go ahead and give this amount of money. I'm going to go ahead and match and do this and do the things that I need to do because I love you so much. That was another blessing. Because many times we feel in different areas, I know we've all had to go through those places where you're out to dinner with somebody and everybody is meeting and everybody got to, and they chip in and you're not able to chip in like everybody else chip in. But in this particular instance, I felt really good that we were able to stand up for ourselves and be counted, as a church, a part of this family. So that was another place where where God really showed up for us.
I think with regard to giving, you can't receive if your hand is closed, right? So when you give, your hand is open. And money is one of the things I talk a lot about when I do premarital counseling with couples is what's your money style? What's your money style? And how do you feel about it? Because money is one of those things. It's a few things that'll break up a marriage real quick. And so the ability to say, as a couple, this is where we stand on this. This is where we stand on finances. This is where we stand on this subject. This is where we stand on this subject. And I think that because we got married when we did at the ages that we got married at, we, of course, had, we set in our ways, right? Like, this is how I do, this is how you do. But when it came to giving, thankfully, we weren't really different. When I tell y'all, we have had some moments where we have had to trust God. Maybe we'll put this in the bonus pieces, hun, for those that are going to subscribe on Patreon. But it was a time where we had a rough patch, and I'll go ahead and share it now. And maybe we'll talk about it more in depth at another time. But, there was a time we didn't have money to get to work, right? Didn't have money for gas, and we were both getting paid the next day. So we ended up both calling in to work. And I'm sharing this because we good and grown at this point. We're in our 40s at this point. So it wasn't like we were young. And which hopefully will dispel the myth for some people that we feel like we are ballers, because we do not. But We stayed home and we didn't eat all day. And in our freezer, we had frozen pancakes. And we waited till the evening, like around 7 or so. And then we ate those frozen pancakes because we knew the next day we were both going to get paid. And so I think it's important that us and anybody coming into a relationship, that you be as much as possible in lockstep, because we knew that we needed to give, we needed to share, whether it was church or other people or charitable organizations. It was important to us. Now, where we are now, I think it's important to note that we do check in about money. We check in about money. We decide what we're going to give when we go somewhere. If we are visiting someone else's church, we decide. Now we got to get a little bit better at our signals because we had a mishap a couple of days ago. Good Friday, but it was okay because the money came literally the same day, came right back to us. So it doesn't really matter. Like within an hour, the money came right back to us. We got to work on our hand signals in church so we know what we're talking about, but it's okay.
Omaha, 46, 27, Omaha.
Right.
We
We got
gotta
to
work on our
make
signal.
Right. We got to know, that's a football thing. We got to know which leg to kick back so we know which way the player is going to run. But anyway, and even in that was a learning thing and it was fine. But, we just decided, okay, before we go into the service, if it's a special service, what are we giving? It's always a learning process, but we do check in about money. We do check in about what we're going to give. We're working on like budgeting and things like that. That's more my thing than Sean's thing. So he lets me do it. I shouldn't say let me. He wants me to take the lead on it because
I'm not Pharaoh now. Don't make me be out the Pharaoh. He
right,
lets me. No,
but
you gone.
We know our giftings, right? Right. We know our giftings, and I know we're almost at time, but here's the thing.
Way of saying we know our giftings. Yeah, I know mine. It ain't that. So, all right.
but
so we gonna, oh no.
No, I think and I love saying this about you, and I tell people this all the time. There's bills that I pay, and there's bills that you pay. And quite honestly, it's some things I don't even know when you pay it, how you pay it, which I probably should, but I don't know. But what I do know is the lights are on. I do know that when I come in here to sit down to work and I fire up the internet, it's on. But that's about trusting you. And that's why money is so important in relationships, because money is about trust. So that's why when we don't have conversations, and I'm saying we as a whole populace, you have to have these harder conversations about money. And I think you have to be sure about what you want to spend your money on, what you don't. And, I think there's some other pieces that we're going to talk about because we're literally right up against our time. But we can easily do a part 2 on this, or we could save it for Patreon, which we may do. So what encouraging words do you have, my love, for our listeners about Just Got Paid?
I think my encouragement to you is to not stress over money, not to put money and use money as your God. Many times we put our stress for money and the financial situations above what God can do. I think that is the thing that I've learned, is that money has its place in our lives, but we cannot give it the top place in our life. Every conversation can be about how we gonna make it, how we gonna get over, how we gonna grind. Some stuff is geared to you not being able to do it. Woo, that's the deep. You might not get that one until next week. Some stuff is geared for you not to be able to do, so you can depend on God. And I think money has its value when you depend on God.
Yes.
That's where the value comes from.
That's very good.
You will get the true value of your financial outlook when you depend on God.
I love that. Well, y'all, we don't... Listen, drop the mic moment. You all, we are going to give you the additional thoughts on this through Patreon, but Baby, can you tell the people where they can find us?
2x at judahinthegrove.com. 2x at judahinthegrove.com. That's the second time around at judahinthegrove.com. Before we go, I just want to say a quick prayer for all of you out there. I know that we're living in one of those times where you get a little stressful over your financial outlook. So we're just going to pray for you as we go out and make it happen. All right. God's going to make it happen for you. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to speak to so many people about what you can do and what they can do with their finances. Lord, I pray that you increase where there has been a decrease for some. Lord, I pray that we put things in this proper perspective, Lord, and that we don't worry and feel shamed for the seasons that we're in, Lord, because you are in everything with us. Lord, bless us as we go and the next episode comes along. And Lord, we thank you.
Thank you.
We thank everyone for listening. Amen.
Amen. Y'all, we are out of here. We will see you next time. We are so glad to be back, and we are praying for you. We pray that you are happy. We pray that you are healthy, but most of all, we pray that you thrive. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you in our next episode.